welcome back. YouTube.com/Geek Aloud. Thursday night, 8 p.m. We're here for the Gaming Enforcement Agency. And by we, of course, I mean Unky Dunky. Welcome, sir, in the second slot. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm very well, mate. How are you?
I'm just fine. Thank you for asking. And then, of course, in the third slot, Bully. How you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm doing very well, lads. Bit of a busy week for me, so not much on the gaming front, although I think most of what I did put in was, surprise, Hogwarts. So we'll speak about that later.
He's finally taken over me for hours played in Hogwarts.
Time well spent, I'd suggest, Bully. But thank you for making yourself available this evening. The most important time, of course, Thursday, 8 p.m's, mate. I appreciate your presence. Now, fine folks, the show rundown is as follows. We start off with games, Interrogation, and Deliberation. That is the four games. Well, 3 TV shows. Nope. 3 games, 1 TV show we've covered off this week. And then we kick in a newsroom door. Unky Dunky, my friend, how many news stories have you hunted and gathered for us this evening?
Oh, we've got a few this week. There's a bit going on in the news. I had to leave a bit out there as well, so I picked the best of the best. We've got 7 stories tonight, Troy.
Beautiful work, mate. I love it. Excellent work. And then, of course, we do the new game releases as reported by Game Informer. Excellent list they provide us each week. And then we come on over to everybody's favourite segment. It's the Standoff. Unky Dunky, whom is fighting whom this evening?
Mate, it is everyone's favourite. So much favourite that I rushed to it last week and missed the new releases. Not that it mattered because all we had was Hogwarts last week. But anyway, this week we're still in Hogwarts land. We are looking at some amazing screenshots that have been taken in the game since the game is so beautiful and, as Bully put it last week, magical. So we're going to check out these magical, malevolent photos that have been taken in the game, and we're going to pick a best. So in the chat there, keep an eye out for those pictures and give us your vote as to which one you think might win.
Perfect work. Thank you, mate, as always. And then, of course, it is audience integration all throughout the evening. Bully, you will be on patrol in that there YouTube chat, throwing out the comments as they come to us. Any we miss, we round up in segment 4. That's audience integration. Bully, are you happy to be patrolling those YouTube comments this evening?
I am. I'll make sure that you guys are safe and protected from the harsh comments of the real world.
That's what, I like to live in my own little bubble, mate. I need you to protect me out there. It's fantastic work. Thank you. All right, guys, without further ado, let's go to games, Interrogation, and Deliberation. First up this evening, we thought we'd give you a minor break from Hogwarts and start instead with Wanted Dead. Now, Unky Dunky's lead investigation, and my first question, Unky, is this. Why wasn't it just called Want Dead?
That's not a bad idea. I'm all for putting words together and puns like that. So, no, absolutely. Want Dead. That's a great idea for this game. It'd be a better idea than most of what I've played so far. But
how many hours in?
No, I probably put a couple of hours into this one. This one, unfortunately, hasn't turned out as well as I hoped it would. It's done by the Ninja.Ga and Dead or Alive guys. So, it's an action game. It's got melee combat. It's got shooting. It's got very wacky story and mini game stuff going on, which I'll get to in a sec. But no, it's sort of harkening again. Sort of, we had a hit with Hi-Fi Rush, which I'll quickly go out and say because I hadn't finished it last time we spoke. I finished that game. I'm now playing a very new Game Plus version of the game. You can pick whatever levels you like in that game. Yeah, it unlocks a whole bunch of costumes that you can pick for Chai and for all his groups. So amazing game. Still one of the best games this year.
While we're on the detour, mate, give me a score now that you've finished it.
Oh, it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Beautiful work. Keep going. Want Dead.
Want Dead. So this one, it had that same kind of thing going for it, more of an old school Xbox 360 style action game, in the same vein as your Ninja Gaidens and stuff like that. And it's got sort of John Wick gameplay and all that kind of jazz and weird mechanics for counter moves where you can hit a gun maneuver, which your handgun's on your right. Well, I've mapped it to right bumper instead of triangle, playing on the PS5, and you can pull that out and shoot your pistol, or you can aim down sights with a machine gun, or you've got your melee attack. Stylish combat. You look at some of this gameplay and think that looks really cool. It is. The gameplay is quite fun when you get into it. There's a lot of stuff which I know, Troy, someone like you won't like, all the fluff and story that just skip the cutscenes, get me to the action, especially when the voice acting's as bad as it is.
I was going to say, off the trailer I watched for it today, there was bad voice acting on display, and that was in the trailer.
Yeah, and it doesn't get much better. Coming from a game like Hi-Fi Rush, where all the characters are so likable in their acting and their, the way they sort of complement each other and the way they act and react to each other, This says none of that. Like, they've got your sort of tropey guys. It's like a sexist pig, and he's always sort of cracking on to the girls. And I don't mind what they've done with the bombing sort of engineer bloke. He's deaf, so he's got sign language. I thought was quite cool for a game having sign language. We'll get to that a bit in the Last of Us stuff as well. But it's the gameplay's fun. It's very frustratingly hard. It's got some real bad checkpointing where you can get through a whole area, which I did. You fight a whole bunch of guys, and it's like, defeat this ninja, and he's just sort of a standard enemy that comes out, or you think he's just a sort of a boss character. But he comes out. You'd like to think you'd have a checkpoint just before that fight. No, he just destroys you straight away. You're going to do the whole section all over again. And I reckon I did that maybe 4 times before realizing that I need to change my tactic and get through it. So it was very Souls-like in that. So very punishing game. Apparently it hides its easy difficulty behind dying a fair few times before it then offers that easy story mode to you, which I'm tempted just to keep dying and just have that mode hit me, because when I am playing the game and enjoying its combat, it is quite fun. It's got satisfying headshots. When you are hitting that melee stuff, it is really fun. It's just all the stuff around it. Like, the unlocks seem to happen at a pretty steady click, but they don't seem to make too much of a difference to the way you play. It's very hard sort of close-up combat playing melee stuff where you've got a lot of guys with guns. Your ammo runs out pretty quickly as well. So there's all this negative stuff around a good game where the combat's good, similar to how you said with Forsaken. It's got all this fluff around it. If you just sort of focus more on the gameplay stuff and gave us more of that, then it could be a game that's not scoring in the sixes, which I think Metacritic mostly is. I know we sort of don't really trust IGN with the reviews, but they gave it a 4 out of 10. This is a day after I actually purchased it because I gave faith into it. I looked at Xbox, looked at PlayStation. I think the Xbox was a 40 gig download for $89.95, and the PlayStation was a 27 gig download for $77.95. So it's one of those ones that'd be perfect for Game Pass. But I think if they went on Game Pass, people would probably pick it up for half a second, play what their 5-10 minutes of the game, and then put it away. But I could see this being for a lot of people that enjoy that sort of real hard Ninja Gaiden style gameplay. But for a casual game that just wants to sort of play something fun, you're better off getting something like a Sifu or Hi-Fi Rush, because this doesn't quite hit on all those marks of those games. So I was higher on it in the first sort of hour or so. Then it sort of, as that story stuff sort of got in the way of the fun, and the checkpointing system got in the way of the fun, because no one wants to be sort of feel like they're wasting time when they're playing games, as fun as they could be. But if I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and then just scraping through by the skin of my teeth, and then onto the next grind, then it's just, I don't know how much it's worth it, to be honest.
Can I ask you, mate, from a level structure standpoint, is it like one linear story, like a Max Payne 3 style, or is it more like Sifu, you reference, as like a main hub and then you're breaking off into individual levels?
Yeah, so they're kind of individual levels. So the way they've structured it is that you've been in prison, and you're kind of like a Suicide Squad thing by the sounds of things. You're in prison, you get taken out, and the next thing you see, you're in a cafe with all your cop mates who have also been incarcerated, and you're all out as part of this, what's called the zombie crew. And they're out to sort of, do the stuff that normal police can't do. And the first mission has you out, so you're supposed to be going to respond to these guys that are kind of essentially robbing this like museum-y sort of place. And instead of waiting for backup, you go in there and just murder about 1,000 bad guys that all look like Isaac Clarke from Dead Space. So you do that and you get in trouble. Then you go back to like a hub world, which is the police station. You've got some story stuff you can go around. It's like where it gets a bit Yakuza-y on you. You can go around and play mini games like claw game. You got to try and get things out of the machine, and you drop like little pick up what they call it, little figurines of all the characters in the game and weird stuff like that. You play a weird eating soup game where you've got to like tap into the rhythm of the thing. You got like X's and squares and stuff scrolling across the screen. You've got to hit them in the right time, but then all of a sudden you got 2 bars, and you got to try and worry about 2 bars, and it's just I think you're eating ramen or something like that. Usually it's just a mini game you can get extra points, which is all slows down the actual gameplay and the fun of the game. So weird to have that kind of stuff in there. I think it works in Yakuza. It doesn't work in this game.
Did Hi-Fi Rush sort of serve you well in the timing for the mini game? Were you on point with your...
I was pretty good with the timing stuff. The problem was playing a game like this without having that rhythm beat in the background. I found myself trying to play this game to a rhythm which wasn't there. So, and I found myself actually going back to, like, I was playing this and I was like, I actually feel like going back and playing more Hi-Fi Rush now that I'm back being able to, do level select and kit out, Chai and the cat, and like you can put the cat in like a dog outfit now in Hi-Fi Rush. So the fact that I'm talking about another game as opposed to the game I'm supposed to be reviewing probably says enough about this game. So I'd say you can wait for a sale if you do like sort of punishing games. If you like sort of action combat, and you want to feel like John Wick, there is that feeling you do get. Like some of the combat stuff is quite fun. A lot of really cool finishing moves that she does. So which is where she does her best talking is on the battlefield, not so much in the voice acting stakes. But no, a bit of fun to be had, but definitely don't pay full price for this one. Either wait for a sale or whether it's a Game Pass or a PlayStation Plus or something like that.
Fair enough. And is it only the one playable character, or you sort of said there was a squad? Can you switch between squad members? You know,
no, you can't.
Style, or is
No,
it just her?
yeah, you're just playing as her, and probably just as well. She probably is the most likable out of the whole bunch. So yeah, she says anime stuff on the screen now. There's a weird story where it just almost fainted, but it went to this weird cutback scene with it looks like her, but you don't know it's her. It's just a whole bunch of weird stuff going on. Just not cohesive.
Does she have an annoying bracelet that's constantly mouthing off?
No, she doesn't. It looks like the trend with these games is like Chai had a robot arm. She's got a robot arm as well. But Chai, a hell of a lot more likable. And I dare say Chai, I know I'm harping on this game again, but I think Chai is going to be one of the new mascots of Xbox, one of my favorite characters that Microsoft's done in quite some time. And unfortunately, she's not going to be anywhere near the
top. Final question for this one, then I'll hand it over to Bully for any. Just, is there an appearance of a red scarf? Do we have a third entrance in that upcoming standoff?
No, we have no red scarves in here. And funny you should actually say that. I actually tried to start drafting a standoff for red scarves. And I found actually way more than you probably think there is. So,
well, I think there's two, mate. So good on you.
No, I got to be generous with the colour red as well. So we'll have to wait and see in future shows if we can get that one up. But it was half there with links and everything in the doc, Troy. So it's ready to go.
Perfect. I love it. Coming soon to a G.E.A. Thursday night 8 p.m. near you. Bully, your thoughts on the old Want Dead?
Well, I was going to say, once you start throwing in Fuchsia and Scarlet, that's a whole nother ball game that you're, if you're getting that loose with the terminology of your colours. You covered it pretty well. I think the only thing that I'd say is, you talked about the difficulty, but it sounds to me that it's artificially difficult in the fact that the checkpointing's bad and, some of those other things don't actually flow really well. If they were to fix that up, would it make it a better game, or is it just brutally, or is it made more difficult because of the way it's actually designed?
Yeah, I probably would enjoy it more if I felt like my time was being, not wasted on those times there. Like sometimes I feel like it is like the enemies just running around like crazy. And I've seen there was one guy that was playing the game. I don't know it was a glitch, but he was fighting a bad guy, and the bad guy just ran. He just ran away from him through the whole level, and he just had to like run and catch up to him. So it's that kind of stuff. So it's unfair, weird sort of stuff happening in the game that I think does diminish the gameplay. Like something like Sifu or Dark Souls that is refined stuff that it's hard, but if you work hard, you can get through it. It's your gameplay as opposed to the game. This does feel unfair in the fact that they are throwing, so many enemies at you and so many health things. You do get one revive from your medic that each time. So if you do die, he'll revive you. But then after that, you're down to your 3 sort of health packs you can hit down on the D-pad to replenish. But your health drops very, very quickly until you start getting some of those upgrades.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that probably covers it for me. And as you said, it might be worth a look at when it's heavily discounted on sale or what have you. But I just don't think there's. Well, I hadn't actually seen it advertised at all. So obviously the marketing's failing on that front. But I think in terms of checking it out, it's coming up at obviously we had Hogwarts drop last week. There's some fairly significant stuff coming out over the next couple of months. I don't think it'll garner much more attention than probably the 5 minutes you've given it, Unky, to be honest.
No, and I saw the writing on the wall. I knew I had to take one for the team for something new this week. So I thought, being the whale I am, I'd drop a big coin on this one to give it a go. I thought, what could go wrong? It's if it was going to give me everything I wanted. As I said, the combat can be real fun. And I said, if they focus more on that, there was none of this sort of stuff with the difficulty stuff and everything, then it would be sort of well worth your time. But as I said, the way it stands right now, wait for a sale.
All right, mate, wrap it up with a score out of 10. What do you got for us?
This one's currently sitting at about a 5.
Very good, 5. Let's move on to arguably double that. At Hogwarts Legacy. Bully, what do we reckon? Opening with a 10?
Oh, arguably. That's the biggest laydown with zero I've ever seen. Again, I know we spoke about it last week, and I think between all of us, we'd probably got through the first dozen or so hours, and it was interesting enough playing through those opening scenes where you're a little bit more restricted, and then it started to open up. I think that was pretty much the sort of time frame that we all got to last week or thereabouts. I'll put another probably 15 odd hours, so up to about 25 hours into it. Nice. Overall.
Can I ask, sorry, I know I'm interrupting, I apologise, but can I ask what level you're at 25 hours in, and do you know how far through the story that is?
I Well, I'm about to, without spoiling the story, but there's the seasons change. So you go from summer to autumn to winter, spring. Spring will be the last season. I'm basically at the end of. I've got to do one more quest in winter, and then you move into spring.
Well, sorry, this let me get a little bit Hogwarts, not Hogwarts, Harry Potter nerdy. Each book and and ignore the last film, but each book and film is traditionally one school year, isn't it? So I guess that it makes sense that this game would follow that same formula. Back to you, Willie.
Yeah, 100%. And it's, I think Unky touched on it last week, even just the change of seasons where you go from, the biggest change you'll see is autumn to winter, where you've got the leaves falling and the orange in the trees. And then all of a sudden you've done that one quest and then you're transported back to your dormitory. You walk outside for the first time in that new season. Everything's white and covered in snow, and just the transformation and just little things like that just to keep even the open world fresh as well. I found interesting, but it's almost splitting it into two sort of camps as to looking at the game. So you've got the quest line and the side quests and that sort of stuff, but then and I know we touched on a little bit last week, was the open world that you can actually explore and how sidetracked you get and how drawn into some of those things that you get. You've got your Merlin quest, you've got your dungeons, you've got the field guidebook things to find as well, and even the combat. So you'll come across a group of enemies and you'll say, well, that's one of the quests that basically the side quests that you've got to do is defeat a certain amount of goblins or trolls or whatever it is. So you go, oh, I'm not far away from getting to the next level in that. So it's just little things. And I found myself going, okay, I'll do this one quest, and you get halfway to where you need to start it or where you need to get to the next section of it, and just end up halfway on the other side of the map because you just sort of go, just one more thing, just one more thing, just one more thing. And it's almost probably the last game that I really got into that being distracted so much away from it was Skyrim. But it's almost, in my view, almost a mix between Fable and Skyrim. So you've got that open world element, but then you've got some of the magical stuff. You've got a lot of the secrets. You've got that sort of stuff, and it's blended in perfectly. And the story as it unfolds, I'm not going to spoil it here because it's only a fairly new game, but it keeps you interested in what's going on and the side quests and some of the choices that you can make sort of going through it. I don't think ultimately they're going to have a massive impact on the outcome of the actual story in the game, but it's how you get there, because, there's one point, and I'm not sure if you guys are up to it, where you get exposed or get the option to use dark magic, and you can either choose to take that or not, and then it sort of plays out from there a little bit. And as I said, ultimately I don't think it's going to change the end result of the story, but it just gives you a different way of playing through the game with a different set of spells.
Just on that, mate, I haven't gotten up to that point of the story at all. You guys are way ahead of me. But what I want to ask is it kind of or equivalent to Mass Effect and the Paragon Renegade route? Is that kind of Dark Magic's Renegade and not taking it is Paragon?
I don't think, because it doesn't really have a morality system as such in it. I think it's just how you want the story to play out. So are you going to indulge in learning those spells and using them, or are you just going to say, no, I'm going to go essentially the Harry Potter route and say, no, we're going to dismiss the dark magic. We're only going to use the spells that they let us use at the school. So it's more just tailors how you think the story should play, or how you work your way through the story, as opposed to how it actually plays out, but how you want your story to evolve and the different elements that you want to bring into your story. And as I said, I don't think ultimately, it's only a guess here, but ultimately I don't think it's going to change the final outcome of the game in terms of, who might live or who might die, or, various things like that. So, again, I can't sing its praises highly enough. It's, I know Unky's fairly high on Hi-Fi Rush, but and it's, we're only in February. We've got a fair chunk of the year to go, and there's a lot of good stuff coming out this year. But for my mind, this is heads and shoulders above anything that I've played. Probably, I'd go so far as to say in the last 2 or 3 years, just the enjoyment that I'm getting out of it, and the even if you start to get a little bit tired with some of the quests, you just go off and explore and you find a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's just that drawing you in factor every night that I just want to put a couple of hours into it. I just want to play a couple more hours, and, I don't have to sit there for 10 or 15 hours playing it, but I just want to progress a little bit and see what it's got to offer.
Yeah, perfect. I've really enjoyed it. We're seeing on screen here, this was me playing this week, and I'm, as I said, well behind you guys. This was me earlier, well, a couple of days ago, but unlocking broomstick flying. There's probably a way better word for that, but I'm blanking on it. Flying on your broomstick. So, first meet an old mate in the store, jumping on the broomstick and going around. And Unky, see if you can pick out which other game I was mimicking. And I know we're on a bit of a few seconds delay here, but when I take off on the broom momentarily, see if you can tell me which game you think I was mimicking. And while I'm handing the mic over to you, mate, any additional thoughts from you this week?
No, I think Bully sort of nailed it. It's definitely kept my attention this week as well. A lot of the ways you can smash these games in the first week and then sort of fall off. But I've been playing other stuff as well, just obviously for content reasons. But no, I've just found myself always going back to Hogwarts, and I think I'm just going to play like a 10, 15 minutes here, and it sucks me back in for another hour or two. And it's what Bully said. It's that discovery back going into the main world, and if you get bored with any of those side quests, you find yourself back on any of the story stuff. Like even some of the side quest stuff I've been on, some games would just have that as your main quest. Like you get some really good story stuff there, especially with your version of Dobby in the game. There's a really cool quest line with him where you go off into a cave and you've got to fight some spiders, and it unlocks a new beastorium, I'm going to call it. It's definitely the wrong word for it, but it's essentially gives you more room to catch your beast. So this is another thing about this game is, I think we spoke about it last week, it just keeps opening new mechanics. Like you feel like the game, just when you think it's finished showing you what it can show you, you all of a sudden you're either catching beasts and putting them in there like the game becomes Pokemon, or you've got you start getting just when you get used to your broom mount, you've got flying mounts that you unlock during the story through an absolute epic moment where it just sort of happens. And like it's just incredible, the stuff it just keeps throwing at you. It's just it's just got that carrot at the end of the stick every time you think you might want to put it down. So that's what all good games do, like especially when games are this big. And again, I have to say, with a game this big, I'll tell you one glitch I've had recently, but this game has ran flawlessly for me. I've had no real glitches, no hard crashes. My only warning I think I gave to you guys during the week, just to make sure it didn't happen to you, but I was on my flying mount and saved my game in the sky, and then came back to my game and my character was just stuck levitating in the sky. But when he was there, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't press pause. Every time I loaded my game, no matter what I did, I would go back to being in the sky because it auto-saved as soon as I loaded the game up. It auto-saved as well. So even on my load games, my the lowest one I had, I think, is about 6 there. I loaded that up and I'm like, at that point, I'm like, no, my game's done. I said to my wife, I was so dirty. I'm like, and I kind of threw my controller down, and out of nowhere, he sort of glitched out and fell to the ground, and all of a sudden, everything was working again. So, I was so happy because, I mean, you all know about my Elden Ring story if you've been watching the show that long, where it crashed my whole PS5 and I had to reload everything onto my PS5, and thank God I hadn't lost my 20 hours of Elden Ring. But this would have been something similar. It's like you get this far into a game, would you really go back and do it all again? To be honest, I don't think I would, because it seems like a lot of time wasted. But
I reckon
it'd be unfortunate.
I'd have to give it a good 6 months, put down, and come back.
Yeah, exactly. Later. I wouldn't be able to go straight back to it. It'd be too dark. But thank God it worked for me. And then after that, I've had no real issues. But again, props to these guys this is their first time making something this big. And I think these guys are going to keep going from strength to strength, even if they can give us a sequel to this or add some really good DLC and stuff which people are clamoring for. I know we got an Xbox and PC patch with a PS5 patch just around the corner as well. So fixing a few odds and ends. So fingers crossed that gives us some more things to play with and smoothens up that, hopefully that save bug that hopefully no one else has had.
Well, that was one of the ones they called out, getting stuck somewhere in the environment, not being able to turn away or load. Yeah. That was one of the key things they fixed.
Because that's what I thought I could do. I thought maybe at least I could push start and fast travel, but you just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, that's what
you had to hard quit.
Did you happen to pick up what game I was trying to mimic at the start of the broom flying before we got to this here?
Sorry, man. No, I completely missed it. Just as you threw
that's right. It was just GTA 5 when you get off and you have to do the knife under the bridges. I was just stringing the under the bridge on the broomsticks together. Call out the GTA 5. I've absolutely loved it. Going on these races, this is phenomenal. I don't know how many races they've put in throughout the game. If I'm guessing it's video game lore and there'll be 3 of them, but I have no actual insight. I've done the first one, but thoroughly enjoyed it. And to your point, Bully, earlier, or last week, I should say, how you were saying the targeting on the right stick was annoying. I don't understand why they've split the flying up over 2 sticks. Why is pitch on the left stick and then left, right on the other stick? I want to say. Like,
I'm not sure why they've done it.
On the one stick, in my mind.
Oh, probably, but it's one of those things that it annoyed me probably the first couple of times I went flying, and then you just play enough of it, you sort of get used to it that you can almost use that elevation on the right stick. You can almost use that as a steering stick as well.
Yeah.
By the time you flick it, it almost changes your view, and then you can bring it round with the left stick. So once you can sort of work your way through that, I've actually found it's pretty easy to sort yourself out.
I think the most annoying thing about it is that you can't like use the right stick to use the camera. So once you're on your broomstick, you can't look. I think that's the main people are having issues with. I think that's been one of the main things raised. So I guarantee you, we are going to get a patch at some point that gives you separate flight controls. But now I don't know if you boys have noticed this, that you can click the left thumbstick in to give yourself just a constant flight, so you don't actually have to hold the right trigger the whole time, which
that
will
is
alleviate
news to me.
Yeah, so that will switch you between stationary and then just flying. So you literally only have to worry about pulling the left trigger to give yourself the speed boost. But if you just click down the thumbstick, he'll just travel.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And I was saying last week how much fun I was having running around unlocking all the flumes. As soon as I unlocked the broomstick, I realized how foolish doing that on foot initially was. So anyone out there yet to pick it up, when you do, don't run and lock the flumes until you get the broomstick. That's my pro tip. But me, loving it. Can't wait to get back into it. But no further thoughts. Any thoughts from you fellas beyond what we've said, or shall we move along?
Nah, just says what Bully said. Yep, Game of the Year contender for sure.
Definitely.
Yep. Can't wait. In fact, can we wrap this up? I've got some questions that I need to
do. Just duck out. If you feel the urge mid-show, mate, just duck out. Ping one off and roll him back afterward. All right, guys. Game 3 this week will be me. Now, Wild Hearts, as it says on there, EA Play Trial, currently available on the Xbox 360. That the prices you just saw on screen were for the Xbox pre-ordering. If you had the EA Play Trial, which is available through Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, the game officially comes out tomorrow, but we've had a couple of days of early access via the EA Play Trial, which has been fantastic. I've gone hands-on with it. I've put about an hour and a half into it today. And at the first, you can see here the character creation. They've got a lot of character creation options. But it wasn't until I was about half an hour in that I realized that the game was an absolute clone of Monster Hunter. Now, I hadn't been paying any attention to this game. I'd seen the giant, hog fight in the trailer. I'd seen like a 7-minute hog fight. That's all. Bully's off to do a quest. Is just the giant hog and the giant beast. You can see me there fighting. As I said, it wasn't until I was about half an hour in that I twigged, oh my God, I'm just playing Monster Hunter again. And they've taken... I'm not trying to disrespect them by saying that. I just didn't know on the way in. It was very much a linear story for the first half hour of, here's your character and then character select screen and then, intro to the world, basic movement and combat tutorial. And then it opens up and it's Monster Hunter time on. And for me, it was enough to see, okay, like it's cool. I get what they're doing, but I don't know about you, Unky, fill in the blank, mate, but I picked up, I'm blanking on it. Was it Winterborn? What was the DLC for Monster Hunter World? It was Winter something.
Yeah, it was definitely Winter something. I was thinking Monster Hunter Rise that just came out, but you're right. There was an expansion for World. It's not coming to me.
Whatever that was. So me looking at this and you sort of start in the snow area, it was enough for me to go, oh, this is a Monster Hunter clone, and I paid for but never played through that DLC. So for me, this trial, they sort of shot themselves in the foot a little bit in that there's nothing wrong with this game as such, but I know sitting on my backlog is an equivalent game that I've already paid for that I haven't played yet. So instead of putting any more time into Wild Hearts, I think if the Monster Hunter itch comes a scratching, I'll go play the actual Monster Hunter Northern Realms. God, I don't know. I'm blanking on whatever that title is. But I'd go back and put my time in that. But that being said, it is a solid, decent clone. They've done some really interesting stuff. I felt like they added Minecraft here.
They've got some crafting stuff in it, don't they?
Yeah. There's a little bit of gathering resources in Monster Hunter, but this really feels like a Fortnite clone. You're knocking over rocks, you're knocking over trees, you're getting resources, and then here you've got this mechanic where you pull LB in and then hit X, and you can build like little crates, and then you stack them on top of each other, and then you sort of mantle on up and then bounce, like you get on top, and then you hit the jump button and you kind of slingshot up into the air. And me and platforming, so I don't nail it every time.
Or at all.
But you sort of, launch yourself up the wall, grab on, and then, you've only got a small bit of stamina. It's Breath of the Wild-esque, you've got a massive mountain face to climb, and at the start, you're like, well, I'm not getting up there. Even with, stacking a couple of boxes on top of each other and launching, you're still not getting up there. So obviously it's a large dynamic world that they have obvious from the get-go. Like, this area is like out of bounds until you progress way further into the story. Build your stamina meter, I assume, all your launch pads way up, and then come back, and then you can get to those really high points. So they do some really nice stuff. You can see here there's like, now this is me making an assumption, but this very much felt like one of many campsites. Like, you get in there, you do a thing, and then it's like, okay, I'm setting up a base camp, and then that turns into a fast travel point. Like, you go off, you hunt that monster, and then you just pop open the map and travel back to the camp you set up. And so I'm assuming as the game unfolds, you'll be setting up, 10 or 20 of those camps throughout the world. They take resources. So as you go, pick up the resources, get to an appropriate campsite, build the camp. And then once you've built it, you can fast travel to it. So there's good mechanics in there. It's all logical. It flows. It's fine. I have no criticism of the gameplay itself. It's all logical and follows. But as I said, it follows that Monster Hunter formula so tightly. I didn't see anything that really differentiated itself from Monster Hunter. I don't see the gotcha. Like, I understand they've added like this slight extra building mechanic, and it feels a little bit Fortnite-y, but it's not enough to make me say, oh, well, I'll drop another, 120 on this to play this when I've already picked up the old Monster Hunter. That's kind of it. Like, hour and a half in, enjoyable fun. If you haven't played Monster Hunter and you're interested in fighting big monsters, go for it. It's in the EA Trial Pass. You can pick it up at no additional cost if you've got access. But any questions from you, Unky? That's kind of the broad strokes of it.
No, so I didn't see a lot of this, and I saw a couple of streams going out once that free sort of access hit. And as soon as I saw the movement of the characters, I'm like, oh, this is Monster Hunter every day of the week. And just the way the character moves. And yeah, as I said, if I'm going to play this game, I'm probably going to play something like Monster Hunter. So for me, it's one of those games that, this time of year I've got probably no time for. It's one of those games I think is much better when you're playing with a squad of people as well. And I think it's a pretty hard ask at the moment, especially multiplayer, and especially a lot of live service games not even making it and sort of getting canned, that anything that's got multiplayer in it that isn't like your Call of Duty and Fortnite at the moment, it's going to be very hard to pull, that many players to have a crack at this for any more than, a couple of nights, I reckon. So that's the issue. It looks good. It looks like it runs really well. And especially with the popularity of Monster Hunter, I can see this doing sort of well, more so in the Japanese market than sort of the European and American market. But it looks impressive, but yeah, it's just, for me, I've played Monster Hunter. I know what it's all about. I definitely won't be putting time into this one, which is weird because what's funny is there's another game coming out next week called Atomic Heart. I kept thinking that this was that game when I kept hearing it was out this week, and I got a bit excited because I'm actually looking forward to that game. But no, I don't think I'll be putting any time into this one. I dare say I'll be speaking for Bully, but I'm going to go on a limb and say Bully's probably not going to put any time into this one as well.
Bully, how was your quest in Hogwarts, mate? I'm glad you got your fix in, and any thoughts on Wild Hearts?
Oh, just a bit of Wingardium Leviosa. just eases me back down. I'm all right now. It's one of those ones. I think I might check out the demo, and maybe put a couple of hours into it. But the reality is, if it's a Monster Hunter style game, the amount of time and effort you have to put into that just to learn, effectively the basics of it. And as Unky mentioned before, it's not the type of game that you can really solo. It's best played with a group that you can go out and come up with your tactics as to how you're going to take down these beasts. So I just don't know how well it sort of plays up against something like that, given that, only a month ago we got Monster Hunter Rise on Game Pass as well. So, that's a fairly lengthy affair in and of itself. And I guess as you said, we've already mentioned, Hogwarts came out last week. We've got Atomic Heart, which I'm the same boat as you, Unky. I'm really looking forward to that one. And then, for the Ultra Whales, amongst the group. We've got the PSVR 2 coming out next week. So I'll be hopefully deep diving into what that's got to offer and see how that plays. So again, I know it's a fairly regular tune that I hum, but I think the reality is that there's just so much on offer these days, especially with Game Pass and the releases that they're putting through there. And then we saw, and we'll talk about it in the news, but the PS Plus games that were being released for February as well, that sort of stuff. It just adds to this never-ending pile, and something's got to give eventually. And this would be, in my opinion, probably one of them, unless you're a massive Monster Hunter fan.
But this has got Monster Hunter with Fortnite's favourite mechanic of building.
Oh God, I'm out then. I hate.
Give me no build every day of the week.
Give me no build. That's how. That's the only way I can win. That's the only way I can win, because these little
Bob the Builders.
These little turds that just start mashing the buttons and throw up these structures that you just use all your bullets trying to take them down. I can't stand it. Go away. Just play it properly.
Speaking of Fortnite, quickly, I did unlock Geralt this week as well. Didn't have to use the little fella to do it as well.
Beautiful work, mate. Well played. Now, Bully, I can't give you no build mode, but I can give you post-apocalyptic mode as we slide on in to Game 4 this week, which is, in fact, The Last of Us HBO style, Episode 5's recap. You're looking at the footage from the PS5 remake game played by Bully. Thank you, sir, for the footage. The HBO characters are on top, though, to avoid the copyright strike, but let you guys know visually exactly what it is we're talking about. And over to you, Unky, for the lead investigation into Episode 5 of The Last of Us HBO special.
Yeah, so before this one starts, most people know how it ends, and I still wasn't ready for it. This, I think, hit me harder than the actual video game this time around, just because of the character building they did with Henry and Sam, and the added story part that Sam's the kid, so the Sam that is deaf, and the way they worked that in, it was just really, it brought a smile to my face and tears just watching them communicate as brothers, and just they had a real obviously connected bond, which they managed to sell really well. Those two actors just did phenomenally in this episode.
They absolutely nailed it. Yep.
To sell you on their relationship for just essentially one episode, and you just bought into absolutely everything to have just one episode with them and to feel as emotionally connected to that final scene as I did. Because you obviously spend a lot more time in the video game with those characters, or it seems to be with obviously the gameplay stuff you go through, and you go over the town a bit longer on the game, but just the way they sold their story, and I think the way they told that before any of the big action set pieces happened, which we'll talk about soon, but I just think their story was so compelling and so well told. I think we still got too much of Kathleen, and thank God she was murdered brutally at the end of this episode, because she couldn't go any other way. I thought we still hearkened on that story a little bit too much.
Yeah, we did. I don't know about you fellas, but I let out a little cheer.
I did. I audibly clapped quite loudly. I think I might have even stood out of my sofa. Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they made us hate her so much that payoff at the end was just grander. If she was just a regular, nobody NPC, we probably wouldn't have cared so much. But so I mean, as I spoke about the relationship between Henry and Sam, that was sort of the crux of the episode, which had the heart. As we've been hearkening on, this thing's all about love, and they really did get that across with this relationship between siblings. We've now had it with partners being lovers. We've now had it with siblings. We've had it with father-daughter. So there's a theme going through this show about relationships and the love we have, even though it's apocalypse. So, but then we got to the fun stuff. So they really blended the whole tunnel stuff with the suburb stuff with a bit faster. We didn't worry about getting chased by a giant car, which for some reason in the game you've got one car which uses petrol, and for a place that's got probably not much petrol, they've got a lot of cars driving around. Just saying. But they didn't have that. They didn't fall in the ocean and up in the tunnels. It was an escape plan devised by Henry, which I thought was a smart way to do it.
Yep.
We spent some time in there with some pigs on the wall and the daycare center, which is straight out of the game. And we saw a little Easter egg of Ish's poster up on the wall, which I thought was a nice touch for anyone that's played the game, which I did speak about. I was hoping I'd almost get a whole episode with that character, but no, we just got a sort of a wink and a nod to him.
You don't think there'll be I was really hoping that episode 6 next week was going to be a full flashback to that.
Nah, it's not. I've sort of counted out the episodes in the game in my head now, and I think I know what we're getting. I think we're doing Tommy, then we're doing Winter, then we're doing an episode with Ellie and Riley, and then we're sort of going to the end game stuff. So I think that'll time us out perfectly. But speaking about the action stuff, this is where what everyone's been waiting for. Just
Yes.
it's action set piece. So I was hoping when they were walking down the street, obviously different time of day. I'm like, I'm saying to my wife, there has to be a sniper. We better see a sniper. And then as I was saying, you see the bing, and I'm like, yes, here we go. And then I think I can speak for everyone here and say this is probably the best action set piece we've had in the show so far. And the fact that we held off on the bloater this long, I think paid off tremendously. I know in the game we obviously got probably two of them maybe earlier in this moment, and I don't think you actually get one in this moment in the game. But the way it happens and the way they just sort of come pouring out of that thing and start attacking everyone, and the bloater comes out, and my God, it is just epic the way it's shot.
Shout out to wardrobe and makeup, knocking it out of the park this week. That bloater was pristine, high quality visuals, and you could see it was really done. That was a real costume. That was real makeup, real acting. Out of the park, phenomenal. My God, I was impressed. This show, every week, a different department gets my hat off to them. This week, it's wardrobe and makeup. Top effort.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. Like, you could sort of pick on different episodes, have certain things here and there better than others, but they've all played their part to the grander story by being something different each week that allows us to latch onto and speak about. The bloater is obviously a big moment in this. The Sam and Henry story is massive, but then not to be outdone, the little girl contortionist clicker was one of the best things I've ever seen in Last of Us as a new thing. She comes through that car door, and I'm like, oh my God, who is this? She is incredible. It's just creepy. Just at a different level.
I was taken back instantly. Now I'm blanking on the film name. Down the stairs, backwards, green vomiting, spinning head.
Exorcist.
Exorcist, thank you. I'm like, it's an Exorcist kid. Look out.
It was the best. I've seen photos of her. She's a cute little blonde girl that is a gymnast extortionist. Contortionist is the word I'm looking for.
Do we know how much she got paid?
No idea, but not enough probably. But the fact that she's the one that takes out Kathleen, I don't know why they're all just standing there talking at this point in time. It's, as a matter of fact, where they should probably all be running. But just a small fact for you as well, the bearded guy, if you didn't know, who's her second in charge that got his head ripped off by the bloater, is actually Tommy's a voice actor from the game.
Oh, I did not know that. That's epic.
Yeah, so if you go back and watch it, you'll sort of hear that he sounds very much like our Tommy that we know and love from Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2. So still waiting on Troy and Ashley Johnson's cameos coming up. So that should be very exciting. What are your boys' thoughts on the episode? I thought it was a pretty damn good one.
I absolutely loved it, man. To your point, the action bit, I've been waiting for the action. You know I have. They lit me up. I absolutely loved the whole episode. Was great. To your point, the relationship, the brother relationship, fantastic. They absolutely nailed it. As we already said, the actors, phenomenal. Once again, Joe and Ellie nailed the actors, acting across the board except for the leader, but she got taken out appropriately. So I absolutely love the acting across the board. As I already said, makeup, wardrobe, nailed it. Just everything about this episode I loved. I don't have any negative comments about it. Obviously, God, I love this TV show, and it's just getting better and better. Every episode is getting better. It's the new high watermark is episode 5. Bully, your thoughts?
I've enjoyed the series and did enjoy this episode as well, but the one thing that, and maybe this is me just trying to pick at a thread, but I'm starting to get just a little bit of fatigue with the minorities, I guess is the best way to put it, because we had, the episode a couple of weeks ago with Billstown and how that played out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not in any way, shape or form against, their relationship or anything like that. But, for mine, yes, you might be able to make inferences in the game as to what his relationship was like, but it was sort of left to your imagination a little bit. And then when you get into this one, and now we're playing, or now we're seeing Sam as a deaf kid. Now, that in and of itself is not an issue, but I'm a bit wary or a bit concerned that we're going to get to a point, if they continue this sort of let's however we can make each of these characters more sympathetic and how much we more attach to them before they die, is that you start to lose a little bit of, in my opinion, the attachment to them. So, it's probably hard to explain, but I sort of got to, when we found out Sam was deaf, and I sort of thought, oh, okay. and then how that sort of plays out. And if you take that in isolation, you sort of go, yeah, okay, well, it is, tragic and horrific, and, his brother's trying to look out for him and what ends up happening. But, you only go back 2 episodes ago and we were going through this, how's this going to play out with this particular group of people? And then, I'm not going to spoil the story going forward, but I think the three of us are fairly well aware, and anyone that's played the second game is fairly well aware of how Ellie ends up being portrayed in the game. And, clearly that's a large part of her personality and her persona that I imagine would be probably not in this season, but flowing into the next one. So as much as I really enjoyed it, I'm almost and it didn't detract from this episode, but I think my concern going forward is if we just keep latching on to things that can make us feel sorry or sad or more attached to these characters, that it's going to sort of lose a little bit of that luster. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that.
I can sum this up for you beautifully, mate. What you're describing is the bloody Marvel's Eternals. Was it Eternals? The last film they did that was an absolute train wreck. They tried to do exactly what Bully said, that, they're stretching out over what's this going to end up being 10 hours, say? But everything Bully described, Eternals did in an hour and a half, and it was so rapid fire. You're right. There was no resonance to any of it. It all just felt like, what are we doing here? So I understand what you're saying. And although I haven't felt it myself from The Last of Us, I can understand exactly what you're saying. And that's the vibe I got from Eternals. And I would hate for this to end as poorly and as hollowly as Eternals did.
So I think I know what Bully's saying. I think, they turned a character that necessarily didn't have to be deaf. They probably could have still pulled it out heartstrings exactly the same way if he wasn't deaf. It's just like, and just sort of giving that extra thing just to maybe just, get us over the edge when they probably didn't need to. And I understand why they do it. And like Druckmann loves sort of that kind of stuff in his games, sort of, with The Last of Us Part 2 and minority groups and stuff like that. But I don't think it detracted from it. Again, I'm like Bully. Like if they keep doing that to characters that we sort of know from the game, and just let's just throw this bit in there to give you that little bit extra, it could seem a little bit contrived and a little bit like pushing the agenda a little bit too much. Like I think it needs to flow a bit naturally, and I think it could take away a little bit from Ellie's story if you do have sort of a lot more characters like this. So I think that's probably where he's going. Again, I don't think detracted from this. I thought it gave us some beautiful moments with the way he communicated with Ellie, with the board and the talking. Their conversation they actually had with the board is almost word for word how they speak it in the game. I do like the way to move away from that at the end where Ellie does find out that he's been bitten, unlike the game where, she finds out in the morning, she walks in there and he's turned to a zombie. But it kind of just gave Sam that little bit of hope before he went to bed that he was going to be fine. I thought that actually also again added to the drama and the emotional sort of sadness towards that bit because he gave him that hope.
Can I jump on that point, man? Now I'm dancing around here, guys. You know what I'm saying. I'm not going to spoil where this is headed, but I think it's fantastic how they had her give him hope, and then how that hope was dashed in the morning. And I think just fast forward to the end episode of this season, and it's just going to be, this is the foreshadowing of that, which is just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, they're good at foreshadowing sort of what's to come. People that play the game sort of know where that's going. So it is good that when you go back and look at these episodes, they are foreshadowing a lot of that stuff coming up. But it's just, like my wife was literally in tears, like dripping down her cheeks watching this episode. And so I think she knew it was going to happen. I don't think she remembered it from the game. She'd asked me, did they die? I'm like, what do you think? It's The Last of Us. But the way it happens is pretty much identical to the game as well. But it just hits you so hard, the fact that it's actually it's not as violent as the game. I think you actually see the blood splatter coming from Henry's head in the game, and then it cuts to the next chapter. So it's a bit more brutal in the game if you want to see, if you want to be down for that kind of stuff. But no, I think next episode is sort of moving into him going to see Tommy and stuff. So I've given her a feel that we're probably through the most emotional parts. Now, like in terms of shocking deaths and sad deaths, I think now sort of moving forward, it's sort of more of the fun stuff with David in the snow and all that kind of stuff. And just for last standoff, guys, this one was left out of the standoff for most, sad and shocking deaths because we didn't want to spoil the show, but this one definitely would have made it for
Well, it's funny, Unky, you mentioned your wife because my wife, I don't think she's ever sat in the down for more than about 30 seconds and watched me play a game. And if that actually happened, it was only in passing. But I mentioned the show to her, and she was laid up for the last couple of nights and had a bit of spare time on her hands. So on my recommendation, jumped into it and absolutely loved it. Got to the end. Well, as it turned out, we were both watching the 5th episode last night, and she sent me a message after she'd finished watching it saying, "Oh, yeah, I really love it, blah, blah, blah." And I go, "Well, hang on, don't spoil it because I've still got 20 minutes to go."
She's in front. Well done, Mrs. Bully.
So she ended up jumping in front of me. But I think it speaks volumes in terms of the show is that someone that has no background knowledge of what the events are or how the story plays out and all that sort of stuff, that it can drag her in as much as it has, and it takes a fair bit to get her into the groove of a TV show. And when I mentioned after she'd watched the 5th episode, she goes, "Oh, why isn't there any others?" And I said, "Oh, it only comes out every week. You have to wait." And she was furious.
And we're waiting even longer this time because we've got the 2nd episode in quick succession this week, so it's a bit of a pain.
Yes.
Couldn't spend Monday night watching The Last of Us. So.
That's all right. I'm just going to rewatch What's Her Name's Death anytime I'm missing it.
Anytime I just need to be cheered up, just watch Kathleen get murdered by a child.
It was funny though. It was one of the things I don't think they ever explained is that they said her brother was a great man, but he didn't do as much for the community as what she did. But they never actually explained, unless one of you guys picked it up, what she actually did to better the community. Because she just seemed like a bitter, twisted, vengeful person who nobody liked.
I kind of wanted to meet her brother and wished he was the one that didn't die. Oh, he was the one that was still alive.
My take from that flashback, I think it was at the start, but maybe it was a little bit of the way in, where they show like the nighttime of the turn when, Federer or whatever get overturned. And then you've got, the bodies getting dragged down the street with knives in them and stuff.
Oh, yeah, yep.
My assumption was that she started that particularly violent revolution. That's what I took from it. I could be way off, but I took from it that they killed her brother and then she was like, right, knives out, fellas.
I'm going to stand behind all of you while you stab everyone.
Sounds about right. All right, fellas, how about we kick in a newsroom door or two?
Let's do it.
You have the right to remain newsworthy. First up, Unky, what have you got for us?
We've got some Zelda Tears of the Kingdom news. So they've announced, I think we've got the biggest Switch game to release in terms of GBs, where we've announced that Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom file size makes this Nintendo's largest Switch game to date. It's coming in at 18.2 gigabytes. So
now, hold on, spoiler warning here. I've got to say that NBA 2K23 took the cake at 53 gigs on the Switch previously.
Oh.
And the reason that I know that is because the same game on PS5 was 165 gigabytes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, to put this one in perspective, the Breath of the Wild is about 14.4 gig according to this article as well. So we're getting a much bigger game by the looks of things. And I, as of literally just tonight, just with this news, had some nostalgia. It's weird to say nostalgia when this game only came out in 2018. But I just wanted that to go back and see if that magic was still there. Like, obviously been playing Hogwarts in that open world, but loading up I've loaded up my old game where I've pretty much got everything, but because I'd forgotten how to play the game and what all the buttons were, I'm just going to start a new game on the little fella's account because it's only got one save file. There's no way I was erasing all that data. So I started a brand new game, and this game from the outset, I remember it won a Standoff for best opening scene or whatever we gave it to. For a very good reason. Like, that game opens up and it is just, as Bully said about Hogwarts, this thing's just magical. And just,
do you know how they could have made it better?
How?
35-minute walking simulator in a totally unrelated area first.
Oh, in a city first, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been icing on the cake. Sorry, man.
No, that's fine. That's, they'll live and learn maybe for the next game. That's what the extra gigabytes are for in this game. You'd probably start in New York. But just going back and playing this game again, just from the start on that opening plateau, this game is just magical. And I dare say, after playing this again for a game that came out in 2018, Tears of the Kingdom is going to take some beating for Game of the Year, because the way Zelda Breath of the Wild uses its mechanics in the game and its sense of discovery, I think is still pretty much unsurpassed for other games playing this game. With the way all the physics mechanics work, you don't really have an objective. You've got a place to go. Unlike Hogwarts, where you're sort of following a track, you know where your mission is. This thing sort of go out. It's every 30 seconds you've got something drawing your attention away. But it's always, mysterious. You feel like you've got to go there, and you've got the different mechanics about. I'd forgotten completely that at the start of that game, like, you've got to go to those different shrines and you've got to walk through the snow. But at this point, you don't actually have any of your gear to keep you in the snow. So close by, though, you do find a tree which has got the chili shrooms. And then once you learn to cook those, it gives you the ability to stay in the snow. Just stuff like that. That's just open world games just don't do that. And something on the Nintendo Switch shouldn't do all the mechanics this game does and run as well as does. And still on a 77-inch TV spread out on a Switch, this game still, just mainly due to that art style, just looks phenomenal. So that has got me so excited for Tears of the Kingdom. It's now sort of, I think Spider-Man 2 might have won our most anticipated game. But after getting stuck back into Breath of the Wild, I think Tears of the Kingdom might well be up there for me now.
Did you check it out? Would this have been your first time checking it out? If you just said 77-inch, but did you look at it on the OLED and how did it look?
No, to be honest, I actually haven't loaded up on the OLED, so I might do that next. I might just pull it out and have a look on the OLED.
Although maybe you want to save that OLED beauty for the Tears of the Kingdom.
Or maybe, I think with the art style, it's probably not going to look too much different, really. I think we're just going to get a lot more of it and a few different things with sort of lighting and stuff with what they're doing there. But no, I was playing a bit of Metroid, which I spoke about, I think, last week as well. I've kept playing that, and that thing looks absolutely glorious on the OLED. Still looks great on the big TV and stuff, but on the OLED, that thing sings. Like, they're doing some great things with Nintendo, which is why, you can't really give Pokemon a pass when other games like this are running flawlessly 60 frames per second, and that thing chugs between 12 frames and 20 frames. But anyway, but no, I can't wait for this game. I'm excited to see that it's got a big file size of around 20 gig for a Switch game. That's massive, and knowing that's going back and playing Breath of the Wild and seeing that thing's only 14 gig, I think we're in for a treat.
Absolutely. Bully, any thoughts on this one, mate?
I think covered pretty well. A couple of things I will mention, though, that I just saw later today was apparently there's a whisper that they don't get too excited because it's not a Switch 2, but they're going to release a Switch variant, whether it's the original or an OLED version of the Switch with the Tears of the Kingdom moniker or design on it. So they're going to release that. And one other thing I did notice when I was looking through some of the game stores' websites today. So for those that have missed it or had missed it in the past, it appears that the vast majority of previously released amiibo, that being for not only Breath of the Wild, but some of the other Zelda-related amiibo are being released or re-released on the same day that the game gets released as well. So I think I've got most of them. I think there's one or two I'm missing. So that'll be extremely interesting to, well, as Unky just drops off camera and goes.
Oh, he's going to come back with a handful of them. Look at him go.
You mean these ones, Bully?
They're the ones that, hang on. There's something wrong with your screen. They don't appear to be in a box. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, how am I supposed to use them to get my free stuff in the game if they're in a box?
Because they look good.
There's probably merit to getting them in a box because then you don't break the end off the arrow.
So yeah, it looks like they're re-releasing any and all amiibo that relate to Zelda, and that goes back to some of the previous games as well that they've released amiibo for. I know the Link's Awakening amiibo that they did for that re-release on the Switch looks like it's getting re-released as well, which has got nothing to do with this game as well. So
is that to say, mate, you can buy a copy of the game and like 30 amiibo in one big box?
Effectively, yes, which is
wild.
I started totaling up what it's going to cost me, and I started to get a bit scared. And
trade that PSVR 2 in, Bully.
My only thing with it is, though, and this is just the collector in me, is that you go out of your way to get these things, and they're in effect a limited edition. Well, they're just re-releasing it, which lowers the market value of it. Which is that's not what I'm into collecting for. But I know that there are people that will be going, well, hang on, I got this one that was limited. It was only released in this year. When it sold out, it sold out. You can't get it anymore. Now they're re-releasing it again, and it drops the value of what their investment is. And as I said, that's not why I do it. But
is there any word? Have they made like a slight variant to them or something, like a version 2, Gen 2, something to identify to try and retain some of that value for the version 1ers? Or
Not that I've seen, but I imagine there'll be something along those lines. You know, when they've re-released games in the past or done a first edition or a second edition, it's not just Nintendo, it's across the board. There's normally some sort of art variation on the box or, you know, for the game on the cover and that sort of stuff. So I'd imagine there would be some sort of variation. They'd have to be, which would make the initial releases at a higher value. But, you know, just something interesting to bear in mind. And for those that missed out on the first lot, you know, they're coming back around again.
Definitely. Now, sorry, you may have said this already, Unky. How long until the release date?
It is the 12th of May, I believe.
So
3
interesting
months.
to know that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has gone gold. If they've got the file size, it's gone gold. 3 months out. How much polish is going to be on this, do you reckon?
Oh, I reckon we've got a fair bit of polish somehow. I'm hoping it's more polished than the previous game because that thing could chug a fair bit.
Especially on the
How
Wii
much
U.
polish can you put on a Switch game?
Hopefully more than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
It's going to look so good, Bully. You're going to think you're looking at the Switch too. That's how good this is going to run. All right, guys. Story 2, Unky. It looks like Alan Wake 2.
Oh, it does. Another game that, it's touch and go whether this comes this year, but this gives me a little bit more hope. So Alan Wake 2 is now playable from start to finish. This is from Remedy themselves. So Studio also notes that Alan Wake Remaster has yet to regenerate royalties, which I think they go in the article to say that they're not too worried about that. So they think that with the closer they get towards Alan Wake 2 coming out and marketing hitting for that, then people are going to start playing number 1, which I intend to agree with that. I think they'll see massive sales. I think you might even see it come to some of the either Game Pass or on the PlayStation Plus stuff as well.
That was exactly my question. I thought it was already in Game Pass, but I guess it's not.
Nah, it's definitely not.
Okay.
So, no, but I love Alan Wake. It's one of my favourite games of all time. This one's moving to more survival horror route. So, obviously, they're the hotness at the moment with, Last of Us Remaster, Dead Space Remake. What else are we playing that's survival horror? Callisto Protocol in the last year. So, I loved all those games. So, the fact they're doing that with Alan Wake, I cannot wait. In Remedy, I trust. There's not one game of theirs I don't like. And again, we forget that we've got Max Payne remakes happening as well at the moment. So, which Remedy is also working on, which is amazing. So, but the fact that this game is now sort of ready, playable from start to finish, that gives me a lot of hope that we may see this game by the end of the year or at least early next year because now they can just polish it. The game's all there. Obviously, VO must be close to being done if you can play it. I'm not sure whether that means it's just gameplay or they actually have got VO and sound effects all done. But to say a game's playable from start to finish makes me think they're much further along than I actually thought they would be. So, no, this gets me very excited. It's definitely going to go on my list of most anticipated if it is going to hit this year.
Yep, I'm super keen. Sign me up. And I love in the screenshot they've got there, that use of red so calls out to me. Control. Yeah. I'm like, tie it in, boys.
It's gonna have to. It's gonna have to.
What do you reckon about this, Unky? Do we get a Control DLC update that is the Alan Wake remake, and it's more like they turn it into a launcher Call of Duty style and they just slot it in because they've given away Control everywhere for free, the base game now, haven't they? Like PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah, it was on through PlayStation Plus, because I finished that game on Xbox and we both platinumed it on PlayStation. I think that was when it was free as well. So
I'm going to go out on a limb and say for $20, you're going to be able to buy it as DLC within Control and really hammer home that these two are in the one universe.
Well, I mean, they've already pretty much hammered it home. I think the DLC called Wake, I think it is, or something like that. They've got Alan Wake in it, and the story stuff's really cool with that. So there's no sort of question about whether it's linked or not. But yeah, I could potentially see them launching it from that, or at least advertising the new Alan Wake within Control. So now I'm very excited to see this news. I didn't expect to see this kind of news hit this week, so I was very happy.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if is it the financial quarter coming up and they're trying to pump the stock numbers maybe?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Control was 2019, so you would have thought they would have wrapped up, development on that sort of, earlier in 2019 before it released, and then so they've had a few years to sort of work on this, and
I don't even know. Does Remedy have multiple teams, or are they just the one team?
I feel like there must be multiple teams if they've got, if they're working on Max Payne remasters or remakes in the background plus this, you'd like to think there's more than one team working on them, and they're a pretty big company now. So,
very good. Bully, any thoughts on the Alan Wake 2 playable from start to finish, mate, before we move on to the third story?
Oh, probably not much more than what's been covered. I'm just trying to see how many teams. It looks like they've got 4 different teams working on different titles. So that would explain how they've managed to get it out and playable while they're still working on those other ones.
Beautiful work. Thank you, Billy. Excellent insight. All right, Unky, story 3, the one that everyone's not really sure whether they should be excited for or not.
I'm just going to quickly jump in with a hot news story now before we jump into this one.
Oh, okay,
But,
go for it.
Just because I know Bully was a fan of it, so I've just seen it pop up. Multiverse's daily peak Steam play count has dropped more than 99% since launch. So there we go. As we mentioned before, free to play, games are dead unless you're Fortnite.
Bully, can you just, mate, I know you've got incredible powers. Can you do me a favour and just cut to the desk cam that we've got set up in Jim Ryan's office to see how he's coping with the news of the death of live service games? Do we have some insight from old... Oh, yep. He's definitely crying over the early death there.
I think he'll be fine once Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine come out. Anyway, so we have, following the years of delays, Dead Island 2 has gone gold and its release date has been brought forward. So, unlike all of Ubisoft games, this game's actually going to hit shelves earlier and not come out at all. So the sequel now arrive on April 21, a week earlier than previously expected. Now, I'm going to speculate.
I misread it and thought it was coming out April 1st.
No, and I am gonna put it down to the fact that I'm pretty sure Star Wars Jedi comes out the week that this was gonna come out. I'm pretty sure, Bully, maybe fact check me, but I've got a feeling this is now releasing a week before Star Wars because it wanted to be nowhere near it. So if it's ready to go, that's why they've done it. There's no other reason as far as I'm concerned. So, I've just read in the news article. This means it will avoid a clash with Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which recently delayed to April 28. So they've looked at that and gone, shit, we have to release early. Let's just do it and then release a patch. Day one.
Just as Jedi, Star Wars, what is it, Fallen Order? Nope, the second one, Survivor, realised it had to get out of Starfield's way and they moved from their original date. Look at the dominoes fall.
The domino effect. But no, I'm actually quite looking forward to this. I like Dead Island as a game. I really enjoyed the Dead Island games, and I think what I prefer Dead Island over Dying Light is the use of firearms and how they can sort of really create some sort of good combat scenarios with the melee stuff on top of that. From what I've seen with the melee and degradation system of the zombies, it sort of seems a bit more akin to what the new Dead Space did, where their skin sort of really wears away when you're hitting them and you hit the bone, it can feel a crack. And if they can nail the humor in this game, like something like Hi-Fi Rush really nails the humor and it doesn't seem corny or shit like Want Dead, then I could see it being a lot of fun, but it's only going to be fun for a week until Jedi Survivor comes out, unfortunately.
And I think it was the week you were off, Unky, but I just want to quickly call back to Ace's high praise of Dead Island 1. I've never heard somebody had so much praise for Dead Island 1 as Ace did. That was phenomenal. If you've never heard anyone talk up Dead Island 1, go back about 4 or 5 episodes now of G.E.A. and listen to Ace's recap of Dead Island 1. It was inspiring, and that actually has got me some excitement for Dead Island 2. I was very cold before then. Bully, any thoughts?
Oh, the only thing for me is it just depends how it sort of plays out. I was a big fan of Dead Island 1 in the first section when you're on the actual island itself, and you had the touristy section and the I guess you'd call them accommodation that was sitting over the water and the atmosphere that sort of provided. But then about 4 or 5 hours in, it then switched over to effectively trawling through a bleak, deserted city. That very much had the Xbox 360 PS3 style, very grey, very bland sort of background to it. So that the opening section was fantastic, and then it just sort of went very downhill from there. So if they managed to recapture that first part, it'd be very interesting to go through and play. But I don't know if this is. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I don't know if this is going to be a day one for me, or whether you're going to probably wait and just see. If they're releasing it early, does it need to have some decent patches put into it, and then how the actual story plays out and the settings? Because for me, that was probably the best part of that first game was the opening setting, and then as I said, it goes pretty well downhill from there.
Yeah, let's face it. I was just going to say, Bully, let's face it. If I'm buying Wanted Dead on day one, I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy this on day one too.
And I've had a bit of a forecast, and their day 7 patch is going to be bloody amazing.
Is there day 7 patch Jedi Survivor?
Well, it's their original day one patch. They haven't said they've moved in.
No, that's right. That's true. No, I think Bully's concerns with the setting. I don't think you'll have to worry about too much. I think with the setting, I think it's all set LA, so I think it's all going to be bright and colourful.
Oh,
And
excuse me, Unky. I think you'll find they called it Helle.
oh, yeah, that's right. They did too. Okay, so I disregard my earlier comment. I think they're going to nail the comedy here. They're going to nail it.
Well, just speaking of your whale status there, Unky, I'm in the process of developing my own game. It's about 2 flies crawling up a wall. Do you want to pre-order?
How much?
Does the collector's edition come with some outfits for the flies?
How many skins do I get for my flies?
I can design one as Geralt, I'm sure.
Do I get the game early?
You
can get it early. You can get the Geralt skin, and
what about the season pass?
Oh, the season pass that extends it to 3 flies crawling up a wall.
Yes, and an amiibo as well, hopefully.
And then you can switch out between a plaster wall and a brick wall for them to climb up.
Oh, I'm sold.
$300 straight to Bully's account, and he'll be a third of the way to paying off the PSVR too. All right.
Yep.
Well, that's before I've put any games into the bloody thing.
You know what games? I was shocked. I saw today the launch price of Horizon Call of the Wild is $120. I just assumed they were doing the PSVR 1 thing where games were half price for the VR because they were VR games. But nope, they're going the whole hog. Crying Jim Ryan strikes again. All right, story 5.
Speaking of whole hog, Hogwarts Legacy UK first sales 80% higher than Elden Ring. So it's the biggest week for any Harry Potter game. That's probably not hard considering the Harry Potter games we've had previously in the UK. So it's entered the charts at number 1, which I think you'll probably see across the board. There was just to put it in context, I don't usually see that many people when I log onto my PlayStation playing games at the same time. This week, I reckon I logged onto my app and saw 7 different people playing video games. And when I say video games, I really mean video game. Every single person was playing Hogwarts Legacy.
Have you ever seen a bigger discrepancy between what you know is happening in the real world with what people are playing and then the bullshit you read online on various websites?
No, and everyone that you speak to that is playing the game is just in awe of it as well, saying how good this game is, how much better it is than they thought it was going to be. It seems to be the same narrative across the board for everyone that's actually playing the game. And I know Wired came out and did some bullshit review where they gave it a 1 out of 10 for their own political bullshit. You read the review and it almost made me throw up reading that review.
Well, I think I know the one you're talking about, Unky. And the reality is, it didn't touch on the game at all. All it did was speak about J.K. Rowling and her personal views and you know, the background behind that and why it was so wrong and all the rest of it. And we're not even going to touch on what the game is or how it plays or any of the issues with that. But we're going to give it a 1 anyway.
And even when she mentioned stuff like she's like, "Oh, yeah, the graphics look like a PS3 game," I'm like, did you actually play the game? Because for someone who's been playing games for a long time, this game looks a lot better than a lot of the games we've seen come out and runs a lot better than a lot of the games that this person has also reviewed. So take that for a grain of salt. Take a lot of those reviews that you read with a grain of salt, because anyone that actually knows video games knows this is a bloody good one. So no, which is obviously why with this news story it's obviously going to do better than something like Elden Ring. It's got that Harry Potter name to, which is already such a big franchise. It's too big to die no matter what is happening politically around the game. So you release a game like Hogwarts and then word gets out that the game's actually good, you're going to get people in that don't even care about Harry Potter. They're going to play a game because it's a good game. And there's a lot of people like that I've spoken to about at work. I said, just play this Hogwarts. I don't like Harry Potter. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just play this game. If you even if you're like something like a God of War, it's a similar kind of thing. It's like gods and monsters, and you're playing with magic, and it's done really well. So I think that's why this game's obviously going to do better than something like an Elden Ring. Obviously, you could argue Elden Ring being a superior game if that's your style of games. Obviously, we gave it our game of the year last year for a very good reason. We love those style of games. This is sort of a more user friendly version of that style of game. So obviously someone like Bully who, he enjoyed Elden Ring, but there's no way he's going to put that his game of the year because of, I don't even think you've finished a Bully or felt compelled to finish it. You sort of got your time with it and then you were done. Can see that it is a good game, but being as hard as it is, you just, you get to a point where you're like, I'm banging my head against the wall. I'm going to play something that I'm actually enjoying, and you get to a point where you may not even be enjoying the game. Whereas something like this, where the difficulty isn't what the game is all about. You can make it harder for yourself, but it's just an enjoyable experience to play and be in. So it is going to hit a lot broader market, and it's going to continue to sell. As I think we said last episode, that come Christmas time, this thing's just going to go through the roof. Like, the sales for this game is going to be outrageous.
Yep. Do you guys think we're going to see a price drop all year, or come Christmas, is this still going to be $120 or $100 on sale?
I don't think. I mean, you probably will with Christmas sales and Black Friday, but I don't think you need to. I think this thing would sell full price all up to Christmas.
Well, Elden Ring never dropped all last year. They kept Elden Ring and they raked in the money. So I reckon this has got the same future in it. There's big bucks coming in here for Warner Brothers. Good on them. Bully, any final thoughts before we jump on to story 5, mate?
Oh, a couple of things with it. I think one is, for the mainstream, reviewing media, I think this is just, if it wasn't, borderline comatose already, this has got to be close to the final nail in the coffin. Where I know we've spoken about it in the past, where we talk about review scores and Metacritic scores, and the discrepancy that you see on user scores versus review scores on there, and how out of touch they are with what's going on. But this has just taken it to another level. And I think the other thing that it proves realistically is that there's probably a very, very small portion of the video gaming audience that would be that involved in what's going on and understand the background of it and understand the concerns that some people have around it. And the vast majority of people just want to play a good video game. And I think that's just what it's shown with the sales, is that it's a good property, and Harry Potter's always going to sell well, but it's a good video game at its core, and a good game is always going to sell. It doesn't matter what stuff you sort of put around it or behind it, or how you try to dissuade people from it. It's always going to sell well, and the fact that it's got Harry Potter in it just amps it up to another level that people might not play any other game this year on their PlayStation or their Xbox, but they love Harry Potter, so they're going to play this.
Yep.
And I think that's just been overrated as to how much influence these clans actually have.
Indeed. It's almost as though people use video games for escapism to get away from the bullshit that people spray online. I don't know, crazy.
100%. But the reality is they're doing themselves out of a job, because they're killing themselves slowly but surely. And, in the next couple of years, they're going to have to go and find some other way to espouse their bulldust opinions to the world, when nobody's really listening to you anyway. So move on.
I'll look forward to the day people stop paying them for it. All right, story 5. Oh, here we go. This one's for you, Bully, I'm sure. Unky Dunky, what's happening?
Oh, this one's for you, because you're always asking me about Resident Evil and VR. So I saw this story pop up. I'm like, damn it, Joy's getting this one. And for Bully, because he's actually the only one of us who's actually going to play it. But Resident Evil Village VR trailer shows the game running on PlayStation VR 2. The free DLC update will be available on day 1.
Wait, that's free good. DLC update?
Yeah.
What? It's almost as though people aren't pre-ordering the headset.
It's almost as though Capcom are their own entity and not being influenced by Old Mate.
Bully,
I'll
question.
Go a step further and say Old Mate slipped him a few cool mil to make it. He's footing the bill to try and sell the VR units. Go, Unky.
No, Bully, did you play Resi 7, and do you have it on PS5?
I have played Resi 7, have it on PS5, and have not even attempted on the VR. And when you said I'll be the only one playing it, I don't know about that, because there's only so many pairs of underpants that I have in my house. And I'm not sure that come Wednesday next week, night 1, when we do the unboxing and the unveiling, and I whack this back on, that I'll be sitting there at 8, 9 o'clock at night when the family's gone to bed and it's dark outside, and Bully's got a headset on and he's absolutely terrified and won't sleep for the next week.
Well, if you're not playing this, Bully, what are you playing day 1? I'm just intrigued. Are you playing PSVR 2? I'm guessing you're getting Horizon, maybe Gran Turismo?
No, he's going for Gran Turismo 7.
Oh, look, I just assumed there was some demo disc, because that's what I'm hoping is in the package.
Can't afford anything else.
Can't afford anything else.
I know you're on that premium tier of PlayStation Plus, Bully, and I'm sure there's Resident Evil 7 in there, the VR version. I don't know. Have they done the upscaling for the PSVR 2 for the Resident Evil 7 that's included in PS Plus Premium?
I haven't had a look to see if they do any upscaling, but one thing I did read through during the week, which you guys may have noticed in the past, but I'd missed, is that they're actually the way they've set it up this time is that you can actually play any game with it, and it sets it up almost like a cinema view within the headset. So it's not like you only have to play PSVR games on it. You can play normal games on it. It's just with the headset on, and with the increased frame resolution in each of the eyes, it's probably not that far off of what you're playing on a 4K TV anyway. So I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not here trying to sell you on it and all the rest of it, but I think it's just an added thing. And I think I said to you during the week, Troy, I've probably flipped and flopped a little bit over the last couple of months since I did the pre-order. Should I spend the money? Should I not?
Button.
Hovering over it, and then. But some of the stuff I've seen lately, it's actually genuinely got me excited for it. I really enjoyed
the marketing department's cranked it up a notch.
I actually enjoyed the PSVR 1, but and you guys have played it as well. Graphically, it's not fantastic. It's passable for what it is, but the fact that they're amping it up so much, and you can basically play and see the vision that you would have seen on a 4K TV anyway on the headset, I think will do wonders. And again, without being the hype man, I think when people see it in action and what you're actually getting out of it, that I think it will start to sell after that. Now, whether that price point is always going to be an issue, whether they end up reducing that, time will tell. But we'll see how that play. But again, what are we 6 days away from it? I'm excited to get my hands on it.
I would be excited if I had the disposable income as well, mate. I'm with you. I'm feeling that hype. I wish I had the coin. Point of order on your comments there, mate. You're not suggesting that you can play PS4 games on this PSVR 2, are you? You're not suggesting there's some form of backwards compatibility, is there?
Well, in short, yes, because if you can play it on your, my understanding, and I might be reading this entirely wrong, is if you can play it on your PS5, you can play it on the VR.
So what you're saying is the game's media that was saying how impossible backwards compatibility was for the PSVR 2. You're saying maybe they were wrong?
Well, again, you're playing it as a cinema style version, so I don't know.
But it loads.
I know.
Work.
Yes, it loads, and I know what your thoughts are on it. Whether the controls adapt, that's the thing, and I know what your thoughts are.
Impossible.
I know what your thoughts are again, Troy, that it's a couple of button mapping issues and all the rest of it. But
one bloke, 4 hours, get it done, Sony. Are we moving on, Unky,
before
I get out my high horse?
I can't afford it because I've got to buy Bully's bloody fly game thing.
And remember, Unky, you got to save your pennies because when they drop Starfield in the original Star Wars release date, you owe me a collector's edition.
Oh, where's that? I've got tinfoil hat right around here somewhere.
I found it. It was in Goat Simulator 3, mate. Good.
It was. Next story.
Here we go. Over to you, Unky. Oh, look, it's Aloy. What's she doing?
Hey, speaking of PlayStation, so they're actually doing something good. February's PlayStation Plus game catalogue and classic titles have been confirmed, including Horizon Forbidden West, The Quarry, Resident Evil 7, and The Forgotten City. And I think there's a few more. So they got rid of our Essentials, about a week or about to get rid of them. We announced that a week or two ago. But we're also getting Scarlet Nexus, Borderlands 3, Tekken 7, and Outriders as well, all to the service. So this is probably the biggest dump of actual good games we've seen on the service, probably since its inception, to be honest. To see something like Horizon Forbidden West, I think that's getting on there due to the fact that we are getting the PSVR 2 Horizon, which not many other people will be able to play because they can't afford the headset. So let's give them Horizon Forbidden West. Like, it's been out, a year now. But if you want something good to play and you skip this on the first time, then this is a great way to get it. And Bully and I'll speak very highly of The Quarry from last year, one of our favourite games from last year. That being available on here and being able to play that, you can play the co-op mode now and not have to worry about spending extra money on X amount of copies of the game. Although I think it might have had that share thing. I can't remember. Bully might be able to tell me if it had the buy one copy, multiple people can play. But I still
which
believe
one?
you have
sorry.
For The Quarry.
I don't think it did initially.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, so anyone can pick up that now and play multiplayer if you want. Like Resident Evil 7, we spoke about already. Great games to be on there. Outriders.
Wait,
Oh,
on Resident Evil 7, did they ever release that as a PS5 game, or is the PS4 the highest that they ever release it for?
Oh, it's only on
no,
PS4, I think, because they
yeah,
did the re-release of Resi 8 on the PS5.
yeah, they did.
Oh,
Yep.
that's where I'm getting confused. Well, there you go there, Bully. Resident Evil 7, mate. Fire up that PSVR 2. Get the PSVR 1 Resident Evil 7 first-person shooter action on.
Well, the only bonus is that I can see with that is that we're out of the pandemic and the toilet paper issue is not a problem anymore, so I can readily go to the shops and get some.
Now, I'll give you a list of the full. These are all the games coming to the service. So we've got actually quite a few. So as I said, Horizon Forbidden West, The Quarry, Resi 7, Outriders, Scarlet Nexus, which is a cool sort of anime fighting game right up Bully's alley, I think, with the Weebery. You got Borderlands 3, Tekken 7, Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. So if you've just watched the new Top Gun movie and you want to jump into some, flying action like I did, which I also paid for the Top Gun DLC, which I played once, but that's okay.
On that one, I absolutely love it, and I can't recommend enough. Go get the flight stick for a Bully. You can attest to it, man. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown, bloody, as you were saying, the Maverick DLC and the flight stick.
Yeah.
Woo, I had my sunnies on. I had my jacket on. It was a thing of beauty.
It is great game.
I was going to say, I can attest to it, but if you wait until we roll the credits at the end of this show, you'll see how terrible I am at it.
But did you have fun? That's the real thing.
Oh, I had fun. I did know well at the game, but,
That's all that is. Then we had Earth Defense Force 5 again. It's a lot of fun, those games, if you've ever played them. Onanaki, don't know much about that one. Lost Sphere, I Am Setsuna, The Forgotten City, and Destroy All Humans. So a fair few new games coming out the service, which I think is actually really good for the service. I think they're sort of moving slowly towards, but nowhere near Game Pass. But this is a sort of step in the right direction. I think if they can keep dropping big games like this on us.
Of particular note here, look how many, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are PS5 inclusions in the premium. Now, this is a first for Crying Jim Ryan. He has only been given out the PS4 ones, even when there's a 4 and 5 version of it available. Like even the game trial for Forbidden West only gave you the game trial for PSVR 4, not 5. I think this is Jim Cryan taking a victory lap on the old slapping Microsoft around with Activision. I reckon he's loosened up the purse strings a little, and we're starting to see some actual value creep in.
Well, the other thing that which we haven't jumped on yet, and this will appeal to some of the older gamers amongst us, and really, if you haven't jumped into any of these, you've got no reason not to now, is the classics that are coming onto the system, Legend of Dragoon and Wild Arms 2, two absolute classics from the PS1 era, which, that's been a bit hit and miss, the PS1, PS2 games that we've been getting over the journey, but they're two of the better JRPGs on that system, and certainly a lot of value and time sink can be thrown into those ones. Legend of Dragoon for mine is probably just a rung below, Final Fantasy VII on the original PS1. So for anyone that hasn't checked that out, that's certainly something to jump onto.
Do you have any insight, mate? Do we have trophy support for these PS1s? Excuse me.
I don't believe so, but they've started actually going back and patching in the trophies. So I can't remember the one that they redid last week that came out probably 6 months ago. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it didn't have trophy support when it came out, but they patched it in now. So
I think there was 3, and one of them I'm relatively confident was now I'm blanking on it. The twin stick shooter around the planet from PSP. They did it to a PSP game. The meteors come in and you. Anyway, that one I'm pretty sure.
That one.
That's back in the.
Hang on, do that again. I'm going to use those sound.
Not Geometry Wars.
No, not Geometry Wars. It was like I don't think it was now, but I'm gonna the Returnal developers.
Housemarque one. Yeah,
but like
you're going with
PSP,
Yeah.
Style. Anyway,
Can you just do those
again?
Can you just do those sound effects, Troy? I'm going to use them for my fly up the wall game. That's just that'll be an extra DLC.
I thought you were just going to open up Shazam and go pew, 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 when it brings up the game that he's talking about.
I did. I tried to and it crashed. I don't know when.
It's very similar to Troy's whale noise for me. That's the Splinter Cell goggles. So you're close.
All right, then. Dare I suggest a story 7 for the evening?
Story 7. Activision Blizzard employees are being forced to return soon. It claimed working full-time from home is reportedly being abolished to the anger of some workers. Activision Blizzard is informing its US staff that it must return to the office. How dare they? In the coming months, it's claimed. Two separate social media users who say they are Activision Blizzard employees say the company informed staff on Monday of a return to office plan, which will see staff being made to return to the office from a specific date. Oh, how dare they ask them to do their job?
What is going on there? Dare I suggest the author of this article, Chris Scullen, I'm going to say, Skull and Bones? Chris Scullen is actually angling for a writer's room gig on video games. Have you ever heard so much goddamn whinging in one article?
Nope.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. In fact, you know what? I'm going to take these off and I'm going to go. Because you bunch of entitled sooks. You have a secure job at a very well-known developer that pumps out some fantastic games. Yes, they're in dispute with Microsoft about who's buying them, all the rest of it. And one of the lines I heard in there is people took this job because it was a great job, but they were going to work from home, and now they can't travel to the office because they live too far away. Newsflash, move your goddamn house. Or here's another option for you. You don't like it? Quit. Bugger off. I've seen the comments in there that say, "Oh, you're going to lose all your staff." Okay, cool. No worries. Go away. Bye-bye. See ya. And then go and try and find some other place that's going to pay the same with the same amount of notoriety that you're going to get out of working at that place, and then try and find somewhere else that you're going to actually be able to work and work from home how you think you're entitled to do it. Meanwhile, the rest of society's had to go back to work pretty much full time, irrespective of where they live, irrespective of what their job is. They have to go back to work full time. The reality is you're an entitled bunch of gits, and step out into the real world and find out how the most of the rest of society does. Because I'm pretty sure that some single mother of three that's burning her ankles every day of the week at the local cafe or the coffee house, earning the minimum wage just to support her children and get her and her children through life, isn't going, oh, hang on, I want to work from home. Oh, why can't I serve coffees at home? You entitled kids, bugger off or go and get a new job. Go away.
I think what's breaking news is someone's coming through, Troy.
Thanks back again. Thanks for having me, Troy, Sookie, and the bullied one. I'm back this week because something's really got my boil going. And it's those sooks, those Generation Z pansies down at Activision all having a bit of a tearing over having to go back to work. Well, guess what, guys? To you at Activision, you get the Golden Sook Award. And there's one thing you should know. You don't hit dingers without putting in the work. Get out of here and get back to work.
Ace, you've nailed it again. Shout out to Ace at the bar. Great work, mate. Anytime you've got a video, send them on through. Unky, it must be time for the new releases of this week. Any whingers on board?
No, let's go through and let's find out. This week from Game Informer, we have Blanc, which is out on the Switch and PC. We have a Boyfriend Dungeon. There's one for bully if I've ever seen one. PlayStation 5. It is out now. Gave it a 7, Game Informer. It can't be too bad. Journey to the Savage Planet was out on older consoles. Was a good game too. Now out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, February 14. So a lot of these games you could have got your missus for Valentine's Day, to be honest. They're all out about that day, so I'm sure she's been real happy. We've got Souls of Chronos, PlayStation 5, Switch, PC, February 14. Tomb Raider Reloaded, iOS and Android, Feb 14. Want Dead, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, PC. No score from Game Informer, but a 5 from G.E.A. tonight. Pharaoh, A New Era, PC, February 15. Returnal, PC, February 15.
2020 from G.E.A.
I'll have to break out that Game of the Year poll at some point again for the people that haven't heard that one. We had Shadow Warrior 3 is also coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S version, 7.5. I believe that is coming to Game Pass as well. If only I'd hold off and not pay full price at launch. Then we have no other way. Then we have Theatre Rhythm. Apparently that's one word, Final Bar Line. final bar line. Maybe that's got Ace in it. I don't know. PlayStation 4 and Switch, February 16. What's that today? We've got Gigantosaurus Dino Kart, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. So on everything, that is tomorrow, February 17th. Then we have Tales of Symphonia Remastered, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, February 17th. Then we have The Settlers, New Allies, PC, February 17th. And we spoke about it tonight, Wild Hearts, PS5, Xbox Series X and S and PC, February 17, or early access through EA Play on Xbox.
Beautiful work, mate. You've summed it up beautifully. I have no additional points on that. Dare I suggest we move on to everyone's favourite segment?
Let's do it.
Who will fight?
Who will fight?
Who will fight? Bit of a different one tonight. So this one this week, with obviously us falling head over heels in love with Hogwarts and the beauty of that world, we are looking at the best Hogwarts screenshots sent in by viewers. Some might be by us, but we're going to pick one of the best ones out of this. So I may know who they are. Bully may not know who each one is. Troy may not know. I don't know. They're random hodgepodge of photos. So let's have a look. We're looking at whether they are magical, moody, or malevolent. They could be.
I don't know who any of these are from.
Beautiful. There we go. So let's start off with standoff number one. We have a flying griffin in the mountains. This one. Oh, that's pretty. Bully, what are your thoughts?
Oh, delightful. And the first time you got on the griffin, that was magic.
Hey,
and
without spoilers, no spoilers. I'm not up to it yet.
Well, I think everybody saw that coming. This won't be a spoiler, but as you're flying along the griffin, look to your left and you'll see the Hogwarts train. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing. We can't see that in the screenshot here, but spoiler alert, this is mine. But not long after this, I got stuck in the sky because of my save glitch. So beautiful photo equals potentially crashing your game. So, I really ran a gauntlet with this one.
Can I ask a question now? I'm still thinking about G.E.A. 5. God, that's a good game. Can you jump off your griffin and fall to Earth? I know you've just said it was glitch-worthy for you. In GTA 5, if you've remembered to grab a parachute, it comes in real handy after you jump out of the plane. So can you jump off the griffin mid-flight?
I know you can jump off your broom. I think you might be able to do the same because you can call your broom. I know you can call your broom mid-air if you jump off a cliff or something like that. But I haven't tried mid-air to get off it. Actually, no, I don't think you can. I think you got to hold circle and you'll go down to the ground before you land. So I think you can only call it if you jump off something.
You cannot Leviosa yourself.
No, you can't. But no, what a pretty photo. Look at it. You got the river, you got the sunset, you got the mountain. The only problem is we're missing photo modes. Imagine what I or people could do with a photo mode in this game.
One final question before I move on. When they finally add the DLC of Quidditch into the game, do you think we'd be able to do Quidditch on the back of a griffin?
No.
All right, then.
But just quickly, that one, we've got magical, moody, or malevolent, or all of the above, or what do we go? I'm thinking magical.
Definitely. What are your thoughts?
Magic.
Cool.
Every little thing she does is magic.
Standoff number two.
Oh, look at this. Moody all the way.
This one's moody. The Hogwarts skyline by midnight. You got the silhouette of our witch or wizard. You can't really tell because it's just so moody, and you just.
I'm pretty sure he's going the dark magic option.
He looks dark magic. He looks Slytherin there, but you just don't know with that photo. He could be Gryffindor. He could be a Hufflepuff for all we know because of where he's standing. He could be one of your brethren, but yeah, that shot there. The blues and the darkness and the lights from Hogwarts. Oh, I'm loving this one.
I love it. It's very it's inspirational, this one. I love it. Bully, any thoughts?
Oh, malevolent. It looks like he's about to cast... Oh, it looks like he's standing there watching Hogwarts and it's almost Voldemort-ish.
Oh,
he's standing in the background and about to cast some sort of spell that just, vanishes Hogwarts forever.
I think if you take a real close look there under his right foot, it's actually a human skull he's standing on.
Maybe, just maybe.
All right, number 3. Look at that for beautiful. I'm going
building.
Magical.
This is magical. I just got to some coastal area where I can keep my beast and saw the ocean. It was just magnificent, and you can still walk out into the ocean and swim in it. It's got great water effects and stuff. But I'm a sucker for sunlight and clouds and a moody sky hitting the ocean, correct? And just with the magic of Hogwarts, and I think that's our main character and our what's his face from the start of the game?
Professor Plum in the library with the candlestick.
Yep. No, Fig. Is it Fig?
Fig.
Yeah, fig.
Fig. So you got fig there.
Figs, plums, whatever.
Figs, plums are all the same. They're all the same.
Shout out to the capturer of this photograph. I love that old mates go on the point. Perfect timing of a photo.
It's and I like the reflections off the ocean there of the thing there as well. That's very nice.
Nailed it. Magical, definitely.
Magical.
Oh, magical. I reckon this is fairly early on in the game, and that was one of the first, as you're sort of weaving your way through the first section of the game and you saw it there, and that was, for me, that encapsulated all that Harry Potter is and all that Hogwarts was going to end up being, is that you saw that, that inaccessible, cliff with a, call it a house or a castle or whatever you want to call it on that cliff that, I just thought some way you're going to be able to get to that, and it's going to be amazing when you do.
Yep. Look at it. He's pointing. Adventure beckons. Come with me on a journey. Yes, please. All right. Number 4 this evening.
Number 4, where the magic happens, the bedroom.
Woo!
So this one's definitely.
I can't see her there. Is the botanical teacher somewhere?
No, he's already put her away at this point. She's actually an animagus, whatever they call. She's turned into the owl now for the photos. So, so no, this is a cool one. You got your first sort of look at the owl there. I don't even know if your owl's got a name in the game. I can't remember. I know the first movie, Philosopher's Stone, actually forgot to call the owl Hedwig, and they had to do it the first thing in the second movie. But I don't recall them actually giving us a name for owl. I did just, however, find the owl or go into the owlery in the game where you've got a shitload of owls. That's magical as well. But the first time you ever get to see a little owl here inside, which house is that? Is that Gryffindor?
I can tell you it's not Hufflepuff.
Okay, it looks like Gryffindor. Look, I can see some red hues in there. So just the 4-post bed where the magic happens and our owl friend.
I like it. The magic's just happened in the bedroom. What does the game ask you to do? Go talk to Professor Fig about it.
Yeah. Talk about how you cast bestiality as your first spell.
I'm a little concerned about this because you've got some beast casting spells, and you've got the owl called Hedwig, and I think someone's got a sixth sense of humour. Whoever submitted this particular one, carry on.
All right, image 5.
Oh, look at that one. I like that. That's up there with the other moody one, but I just think I like the time of day better. It gives the nice silhouette to not only our wizard, but also the castle itself. Whew, that's spectacular.
I'm going to quiz you, blokes. Do we know east and west? Is this sunrise or sunset?
That'll be sunset, I believe. Actually, has it got the? Look at the. Can you see the?
Or is there a clock on screen? We can see the compass at the bottom. Oh, north is. We look at south. Sun is rising or setting in the south. Something real odd's happened.
Oh, it is Hogwarts. They do things different.
What do we think, fellas? Magical for this one?
I reckon this one's magical and moody. There's something about that sky that I just love.
Bully, thoughts?
Oh, I know I threw it out there for the last Hogwarts silhouette that we had, but the fact that he's got the dark cloak on, he's got the wand. It looks like he's got the wand out there on the right hand side.
Wind, is his cloak blowing in the wind back as well?
Oh, definitely. As soon as you get any sort of wind effects going, that's malevolent every day of the week.
So malevolent, moody, and magical. I'm going to go with that. It's getting all 3 at the moment.
All right, then number 6.
Oh, look at this! It's iconic. It's iconic. Look at that. There's nothing. That's just magical. First, I can only judge that this is the first time you meet the bird, because in Harry Potter he has to bow to gain the respect of the Griffin. So I can only imagine that's what's happening here. But what a moment to capture!
Fantastic. I love it. And whoever took the shot worked out how to turn off the UI. So much respect there as well. Good on them. Magical, I think, every day of the week. Oh, and you could argue a bit moody.
Well, I was going to say, whoever submitted it without the UI, can you please let us know? Because everything I've tried to capture, it just it has that map in the background, and it just ruins any of the photos that I've got to take.
Can I give you a hint? If you hit screen capture during semi-cutscenes where there's no talking, you could probably make this work.
Whoa, there you go. Hello.
Oh, and
Nice
there you go.
work.
Just before we move on, and in relation to the last one, when we talked about the wind, Tygaro's just jumped in there and says, everyone knows you need to keep your wand out of the wind.
And always erect. How else are you supposed to cast Bestiago?
Let's see if entrant 7 has the answer.
Well, you could just cast Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh, you could.
Speaking of
we just-
Leviosa, look at those candles.
Oh, look at
Beautifully
those
held in the air.
candles. This character, he's getting the old Dumbledore spirit there, addressing the hall. Is he up on the podium there?
I like that jacket's pimpin'. I would suggest this entrant did not know about the transmorg options.
Oh, I don't know. That's a pretty nice looking leather jacket, I reckon.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Bully, any
No,
thoughts?
no,
This is
not sure
very
about
moody. Sorry, I've got to throw out this one. Moody
Yeah.
all the way. But the
Yep.
candles
Oh.
floating magical.
Well, magical, because I think the first time I read the books before I watched the movies, but when you actually saw it in the movie for the first time, when you walk into the dining hall, that was, in my opinion, one of the most magical moments in any of the Harry Potters, everything else aside. So that sort of encapsulates that, albeit you're doing it from the lectern as opposed to walking in for the first time and seeing it unfold in front of your eyes.
And if I can get just a little sidebar here and get a little production nerdy on you blokes, I don't know if you watched I think it was the 20th anniversary Harry Potter doco that came out. Oh, shit. I think it was Netflix. Like, end of last year, I saw it. I don't know when it was released, but they were like doing a retrospective with all the actors, and they were talking about from the first film when they shot this scene about how they had all the candles hanging from the roof on set by fishing wire, and then the candles started burning through the fishing wire, and they had missiles dropping down on set.
Oh, Jesus.
I bloody love that stuff. It was excellent. Anyway, sorry, I've totally derailed us. Standoff entry 8. Oh, a bit of Hogsmeade action.
What do we got? Is this straight after the troll attack? Is that what I'm saying?
We're around the time of the troll attack, yeah, because Sebastian's there with us. What is it, Sebastian? I'm arranging matches.
Depending, I know you can choose who comes with you to Hogsmeade that early part of the year. You got Hogsmeade, or is it Paddy, was it? Is that a name?
I'm not sure. I went with Sebastian.
Yeah, as did I. Bully, who'd you go with?
I think I did go with Paddy.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
I didn't trust Sebastian.
Oh, I didn't trust the
Slytherin
dirty
ways.
Slytherin.
Although he's worked me round in the end. He's got me wrapped around his little fingernail.
Yeah, he does. I think I'm close to that part of the story, Bully. I'm meeting his friend to learn the Crucius curse. But anyway, this photo, what have we got? We're in Hogsmeade, a little magical place in Hogsmeade where they all the roads lead to Hogsmeade. Hogsmeade, as our character informs us every time he goes to Hogsmeade in the video game.
My God, that line needs to be turned down a bit, doesn't it?
All roads lead to Hogsmeade.
Oh, you wouldn't know.
Bully, with your descriptor there of old mate Sebastian from Slytherin, are we going with Malevolent for this one? Look at him in the background.
Oh, I don't know. I think whoever submitted this one is trying to imbue the Harry Potter vibes. If you look at the main character in the front left of the screen there, that is borderline spitting image Harry minus the obviously the forehead scar that he's got going on. So someone is certainly getting into the Harry Potter spirit with that one. I'd say I don't know if this screenshot's magical as such, but I think the first time that you go around Hogsmeade itself is quite magical. It does wear a bit thin after the 50th time that you go there, but the first time that you go there and you start exploring, and there's a lot of locked areas that you can't get to, but you start going into some of the shops, I think is amazing. And the only thing just on Hogsmeade itself, the only thing that I really was disappointed that wasn't in the game was the Diagon Alley where Harry goes to get all his stuff to start with. I was really hoping they'd work that in there somewhere, but they've done a really good job with Hogsmeade anyway.
DLC, mate, it's coming. Just wait for it. And just on the Harry Potter note, I know Desi, my son, doesn't know how to take a screenshot and submit it to G.E.A, but he did his best to create Harry Potter, and he called his character Harry Potter. He is role-playing hard in the old Hogwarts. All right, then we have the final entrant for the evening, Standoff number 9. What have we done?
We've got another sunset, do we?
We do. It's a sunset, but is the castle... Now, bear with me, guys. I'm going to do an old A-B comparison here between 9 to 5. Oh, yeah, we are slightly rotated. I thought the castle Well, I thought we'd done a full 180 and we're standing on the other side, but you're right. These two entrants,
Just further back, isn't it?
yeah, these two entrants, different time of day, slightly different side of the screen, but
One's got the orange hue as if it's like a Australian summer when we're in the throes of bushfires. It's got that sort of weird, eerie sort of orange hue to everything. So no, it's definitely moody from when I've seen this stuff in real life, and it's kind of bringing back flashbacks to those times where we just had orange skies. But I really like the sort of different juxtaposition of the castle being sort of slightly further back. But I don't think we have as quite a malevolent looking witch or wizard in this one. I think the cloak in the other one sort of stands out a bit, but I really do like that orange hue.
Well, he's a satisfied wizard because he set the castle on fire.
Oh,
yes. Malevolent.
All right, guys, that is the 9 entrants we have. I'm going to jump first and say my hat's off to number 3. That's where I'm putting my chips this evening. Anyone want to back me, or do we have other nominees?
I can't go past. Oh, you go first, Bully.
Oh, I was going to say the cliffside building that you're referring to, Troy, because for mine, as I mentioned earlier, that's your first sort of real look at what is upcoming for the next 20 or 30 hours of the game. So that sort of sets the mood. Most for me
We're not talking about parts of the game. We're talking about the best screenshot.
Yes, I know, but for me, that's the magical.
But you've played it. Think about it from someone who hasn't played the game. You just look at this purely from perspective of photography and setting a mood. Like, not that you just look at this going, "I remember playing that."
No, it's not that, but it's that magical sense that you've just been sucked into the game and what it has. That's what it draws for me.
Now, let me ask you this, Unky. Do you recall, because I've been scratching my head trying to remember what it was, and I can't remember the game name, but it was your back-of-the-box quote for a game previously on G.E.A., and it was something along the lines of adventure beckons or adventure calls or...
I can't remember.
But that's what this screenshot to me encapsulates. It's adventure on, boys. Let's get going. I love it.
Oh.
This screenshot out of all of them G's me up to, let's get back into bloody Hogwarts Legacy.
What's Unky's one to try and convince us otherwise?
I like the one that ticked all 3 boxes of magical, malevolent, and moody all in one with our wizard with his black cloak and
this one here, number 2?
No, that didn't get magical. That was just moody and malevolent. It's the one that you were flicking between the 2 from the last one. And I think
5 and 9? 5. 5. Your money's on 5.
I just enjoy that one with the way the sun hits the castle and the cloak flowing in the wind, and I don't know. I reckon I just like to look at that one, but I'm happy to go with you boys if you're not willing to jump ship.
Well, I'll throw a spanner in the works for you because Tigara has jumped into the chat and said that's mad eye level moody. So I reckon that's the only one he's commented on.
That's a good comment.
I reckon.
Which one, sorry?
So the sunset one that Unky's on. He said that's mad eye level moody. So you've got 2 and 2.
That comment's got me too. Mad eye moody. That is a good call for this. I like that. Well played. Well played. So we've got 2 and 2 from the chat. Anyone else in the chat want to quickly jump in and give a vote for either this or the Cliffside one? Have you got anyone else in the chat there, Bully, that's willing to play?
Well, we buy them a little time there for Bully. I'm just going to point this out to you, Unky, to see if it sways your argument. Entrant 3, no UI. Entrant 5, UI. Come on, that's got to be worth something, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the fact that you can get away with such a good photo, even with even with that there, and it's not clearly from a cutscene.
You've flipped it.
This has been pulled and taken.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works because I thought he was talking about this one, but Tigara is talking about the dark one that you had. Yes.
Well, does he want to swing to this one because that's the one I'm going for?
Well, there you go, Ty. If you can jump in very quickly, you got 2 there.
One from a cutscene, which is a doctored scene, which anyone could just take a photo of. One, someone had to work really hard for to get a really good photo.
Hold on, let me just throw out one more spanner in the works, guys, because I fear we've maybe overlooked the bedroom shot. We sure didn't want to jump to the bedroom.
That's where the real magic happens. You might say
it's funny because I was just reading a comment when we were talking about that, and we're saying headscar, headwig, nearly headless Nick. Are we getting into the view? Are we getting into the mind of BJ Rowling?
Just to finish the conversation, I'm just happy. I'll just go with you guys.
All right, entrant number 3, a winner is you. If somebody can decode our entry submission form and work out who the actual photographer was, that'd be amazing. But whoever it was, a winner is you. Thank you for the submissions from the community to make this evening's standoff possible. Unky, do we need to shout out next week's standoff now? Are we looking for more submissions, or are we finally going the red scarf option?
Oh, no, I think Red Scarf's still a little bit a while away. I mean, I can't be sort of pushing into the fuchsias and stuff if I can afford not to, and the peaches and stuff. So we'll wait for one more game with the Red Scarf, and then I reckon maybe we've got a standoff.
All right, then, we will cool our jets on that. That, of course, Bully, brings us to wrapping up your patrol of the YouTube chat for the evening. Any final thoughts there, mate?
No, I'll try to keep on top of it as much as we can. And we've got a comment in there for that first game that Unky was talking about off the top of the show, Wanted Dead. Wanted Dead. I don't know, I can't even pronounce it, let alone play it. There's a few people. There was a comment in there that was there's too many colours and transitions flicking around too much, and it's making him sick. We had Sean Games into the chat who actually mentioned that if you're going for the platinum in Hogwarts, is that one of the trophies is glitched, that being the collectibles one, which apparently WB know about, and they're all Portkey Games, and they know about if they haven't patched it out already, they are in the process of.
It's in the delayed patch. It was in the patch for Xbox that dropped earlier in the week, and whatever day this week they finally get around to getting it out on the PS5, it'll be fixed then. And
yep, there you go. So
it'll be retroactively fixed as well. So if you have already popped it, apply the patch, turn it on, you'll be away.
Yep, no worries. So just a bit of a heads up there, and thanks again, Sean Games, for that one. And one final one again. Thanks again to Ty Garrow for tipping into Unky Dunky's headphone allowance with a donation into the chat there. So thanks for everyone for joining into that. And make sure that we jump onto Geek Aloud on Twitter, and you'll find some updates during the week on there, as well as the channel itself.
Indeed. And of course, we're now available on all podcast services. Please rate us, because that apparently will help us with some sort of algorithms. But, boys, we're now off duty. Unky Dunky, my friend, what else can you do with Geek Aloud?
You can like it, subscribe it, and you'll never miss it.
Hey, Bully, cheers.